how do civilizations achieve greatness? I understand it as they value things like building, constructing, science, technology, knowledge, growing, advancing, not denying, not refusing, not going down a path like the movie Idiocracy. Oh my gosh, that movie should not have been prophetic. Here's a little clip from the trailer that I think you might enjoy. If you haven't seen this movie yet, you got to go see it. Mike Judge's Idiocracy.
I'm the smartest guy in the world? Says who?
The IQ test you took in prison. You got the highest score in history.
Even smarter than President Camacho.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America!
We got this guy. He's gonna fix everything. So you smart, huh?
The ordinary will be considered extraordinary.
I thought your head would be bigger.
Idiocracy.
For the smartest guy in the world, you're pretty dumb sometimes.
Yeah, when I first saw that movie, it was just funny. Mike Judge is hilarious. You know, Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill, some great shows that comment on our society and what we do. And I never thought it would be prophetic. And when President Trump entered the race for the 2016 election, I immediately went on air and said, oh my gosh, we're in Idiocracy. And it's kind of coming true. And I want to get to the underlying reasons of it as well. But here's what's going on. Let me give you the counterpoint of President Trump for just a minute. California Governor Gavin Newsom is actually taking a trip to El Salvador. Why is he going to El Salvador as his first international trip? It's so he can understand better what's going on with immigration. Why are these people fleeing their country? Why are they coming here? And here's a quote from him regarding it. Change the conversation on immigration and move away from responding to the president of the United States, who simply doesn't get it and does not get much done. You cannot solve the migrant issue by building walls. And I fear things will only get so much, much worse unless we fundamentally address these issues in a more systemic way. And to the extent that the state of California can exercise its moral authority and can lead in that conversation anew, I think it's a healthy thing. And I think that's part of the role and responsibility of government. He's right. Because if you're actually interested in saying, maybe we have a problem of people fleeing to come here. Well, let's solve the issues in their home country. Or maybe we can't solve them all, but let's at least try to address it. Let's understand what's going on so we can see it through clear eyes and prioritize instead of just reacting. The old in-group, out-group psychology that is at play so badly right now that I really do blame the Republicans for this way more than I ever hear from the Democrats, because the Republicans play on fear. That is everything that is going on right now. Fear, fear, fear. And it's fear of the other. And remember, the in-group, out-group psychology theory is based on love and aggression, love for my group, aggression toward those who aren't in my perceived group. And right now, it is generally speaking based on people who have been in the United States for a period of time. They're generally white, they're generally middle class, and they view the other coming here and taking their jobs and changing their communities, and I don't like change, and they're bad, and they're the out group, I'm the in group. This is stuff psychology has been studying for over 100 years, and we've well documented it, and the Republicans are playing it, and the problem I have with that is it plays on fear. It's the negative side of humanity. When we connect with others outside of our group, suddenly this whole in-group, out-group thing starts to melt away. That's the key, which is the exact opposite of what President Trump has been doing and did last night in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's actually horrific. It's frightening to me. It's not something I can celebrate. It's not something I can go, well, that's just the president being the president. Not when you do stuff like this.
Promises of amnesty. Amnesty. You have people coming up, you know, they're all met by the lawyers and they come out, they're all met by the lawyers, and they say the following phrase, I am very afraid for my life. I am afraid for my life. Okay. And then I look at the guy, he looks like he just got out of the ring. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. He's afraid for it. It's a big, fat con job, folks. It's a big, fat con job.
And what's so sad when I listen to that is the con job is the president. He's literally playing on the oldest fears built into human beings. And even worse is asylum, right? We've been Countries around the world have been granting protection to individuals and groups fleeing persecution for centuries. After World War II, we decided as an international community to create Article 14.1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948, that guarantees the right to seek and enjoy asylum in other countries. And when I say enjoy, I don't mean that as like, yay, let's celebrate. It means like that's a right. We have this opportunity. We have all these instruments. We also had a 1951 convention relating to the status of refugees, which the United States signed on to, the 1967 protocol relating to the status of refugees. These are all legal things that say you are fleeing. Any individual who is outside his or her country of nationality or habitual residence, who is unwilling or unable to return due to a well-founded fear of persecution based on his or her race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. So we have children being murdered in Central America because they won't do the bidding of the gangs, the cartels, because of our failed drug war, among other things. They're getting murdered. I'm fleeing if I'm a parent because I don't want my kids killed because they won't do the bidding of the cartels. Now imagine, put yourself in those shoes. This is what I keep talking about. They're just go, oh, we're these horrible people, which the president, of course, lied. Oh, they look like they're heavyweight champions. They're moms and kids. Yeah, there are some males involved, but this current wave has been so problematic for our border patrol because it's families fleeing, because they're being murdered and targeted. And our president lies about it. This is why you have to connect for a moment. Put yourselves, just pretend. Close your eyes for a moment. You're a parent. I'm a parent. And you're living in a very low-income country in Central America. Jobs are scarce. The cartels have taken over your neighborhood. The gangs have taken over your neighborhood. And they say to you, look, your kid's going to start doing my work. You're going to become a mule, or I'm going to start killing you. What do? You flee. I know people who fled Honduras. I met a guy, I'm friends with somebody whose family fled this exact scenario. The government came and said, we're going to kill you. In his case, it was the government, not the gangs. From a Central American country. What did? They fled to the United States. Now, he came from a family that had a little more money, so they were able to do it and buy their way in and do it legally. People who have nothing join a caravan for protection against these cartels to get to the United States. You would do the same. And if you tell me otherwise, you're not telling me the truth. You would flee to protect your children. That's what we're talking about, the people coming to our country right now. That's what the president is doing the opposite of. That is why I'm mad at the Republicans and groups and people like the president, because they are making these people fleeing for their lives out to be a heavyweight that's here to rape and kill you. That's the worst, the dirtiest, the wrong, most wrong type of a thing that's going on in the world today. It's called having a conscience. This is the difference between Democrats and Republicans right now. Democrats say, how do we resolve these human crises? Republicans say, screw you, go back home and deal with it yourself. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap. This is why I can't relate to the Republican leadership right now. Again, I don't necessarily blame individual Republicans other than I appeal to their human nature and say, you would do the same for your kids. Republican leadership, I say, screw you, because you're inflaming these deep passions of the in-group, out-group. These deep psychological fears that we all have. Liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative, doesn't matter. Your political stripe, we have these built into us. And they're appealing to the darkest side, and I find that to be utterly wrong. But what makes it even worse for me is the Trumpublican. So now he's appealed to your fears, and he also lies. He lies so excessively, it's unbelievable. So let me tell you the truth first. Since entering the White House, all yearly budgets from the Trump administration to Congress, these proposals, have suggested cuts to something called the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. Every single year he has suggested cuts, large cuts. Congress has overruled Trump every year by giving the program $300 million. Over the past 2 years, President Trump proposed a 90% cut to the program. During his first year in office, he called for a complete elimination of the program. The Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, this is an important piece of legislation that helps clean up the Great Lakes from the years of us just dumping pollution into them. Decades and decades of just polluting the Great Lakes. So we've been cleaning them up and cleaning them up. So they're usable, they're fun, they're free, we can eat the fish, all these great, wonderful things. It's a wonderful program. So that's the truth of it. He has tried destroying the program year after year after year. And yet he said this last night in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I support the Great Lakes. Always have. They're beautiful. They're big, very deep. Record deepness, right?
No, you don't, Mr. President. You have specifically addressed destroying the Great Lakes, restopping the cleanup of the systems. And then on top of it all, we all know, if you bothered taking 7th grade geography, well, at least I did, 7th grade geography, I remember learning that the deepest lake in the world, by the way, is Lake Baikal in southern Russia, 5,387 feet deep. The deepest lake in the United States is not the Great Lakes again, not even close. The Great Lakes aren't that deep. Deepest lake in the United States is Crater Lake. Oh my gosh, I have not been there in a long time, since I was a kid. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's a crater that's full of water now, 1,949 feet deep. That's deep. And we also have Lake Tahoe, for that matter, 1,644 feet deep. Great Lakes are hundreds of feet deep, not thousands of feet deep. But he gets cheers from the audience because, damn it, you're stopping those horrible heavyweight illegals from coming into the United States. That's just not true. I've broken it all down. Look, the most important thing that we can do is recognize we all suffer from various issues of mental health problems. Let's address those. Let's talk about those openly. You have a cold, you deal with it. You have a broken arm, you deal with it. We all have varying degrees of mental health issues. Let's address those. What happened in our past? What's wrong in our lives today? Let's look at those, and then let's connect with one another as human beings so we don't do this thing with the in-group, out-group. Let's connect as human beings. I'm telling you, that is the fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans right now, at least the leadership. The Republican leadership is preying on those recesses of the old human mind, and the Democrats are trying to solve world problems as opposed to just making everybody else out to be the enemy. Please click like if you're on social media. Share this with others. This is a really important topic that we have going on. And of course, give me your comments and send me your emails. leftcoastnews@ethanbehrman.com.